Yes, people, it's your boy CultureCams, and welcome back to the channel. I feel like I get my best ideas in the night. Am I the only one that gets that? Like, the best ideas happen in the night when you're up. You know what I mean? You can't sleep. You just think, do you know what? Let me go and action this. So you don't want to leave it to the morning. So I decided, listen, I'm going to do it early hours of the morning, and I'll release this, of course, in the afternoon or in the morning for you guys. But first and foremost, apologies if there was any kind of delayed response between myself speaking and the camera. If it happens again, then I'll have to look into it. But of course, it's a new camera, so just working with that, and there might be some technical difficulties, some teething problems along the way. But first and foremost as well, guys, like, share, subscribe, turn your notifications on 15.2k. Let's try and get to 20k by the end of the month. And yeah, man, listen, I want to talk about what I saw going on the overlap. Actually, this is going to be the first time I think I've done a kind of a reaction video to another bit of content that has gone on, and it's basically on the overlap. Of course, you guys know Gary Neville, Roy Keane, Ian Wright, Jill Scott, and Carragher on that show, and they were discussing the best players of the decade, of each era's decade, sorry. So there was 1990s, 2000s, 2010s, and 2020s. And they said some interesting ones, which I want to get into. And we're going to discuss a few players from each era and kind of decide, I'm going to decide who I think is the best player of each era. So let's start with the 1990s, but let's see, first and foremost, let's watch their video. You know what I mean? I think that's what we should do. Let's watch their video. So anyone that hasn't seen it, you guys are able to kind of see what they said and let me know if you agree. Of course, up now. So
It didn't start till 93.
92 it started really, 92,
Yeah.
93.
Most influential player, I'd say Eric Cantona.
Okay.
I probably know Eric. I have to mention Bergkamp.
I'm gonna go
Good shot.
Okay, Cantona wins that 3v1. 2000.
Okay, so first and foremost, they went with Cantona. They went with Cantona for the 1990s. Let's look at his. Let's get up his Wikipedia first and foremost, right? One thing I think that people forget, and you know what, I'm going to include it, even though, of course, it wasn't the Premier League. I'm going to include it that Eric Cantona actually won the league for Leeds the season before he joined Man United. I feel like that doesn't seem to be spoken about, and I actually don't know why. You know what I mean? Like, he joined Leeds. As you can see, he done one season in Leeds and won the league with Leeds before Manchester United actually signed him. So the last first division and the first Premier League was won by a team that had Eric Cantona. So for me, you can somewhat call that a catalyst for success in 2 title wins, which is a back-to-back. Yeah, I mean, and pretty much look at that. So if you look at Eric Cantona, he did 91-92, won the league. 92-93, won the league. 93-94, won the league. 95-96, won the league. And 96-97. So pretty much nearly every season, except I think one. And that may have even been the season where he did the fly kick, actually. 94-95. Let me confirm that, actually. 94-95. Is that when he did the fly kick? Let's see. Yes, it is. So 94-95. So listen to this, people. Eric Cantona, just to kind of talk about how great he was. In 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 seasons, he won the league 5 out of 6 seasons. And the only time a league was not won by Eric Cantona was when he fly kicked somebody in the crowd and Blackburn Rovers went and won the league. So if we're just talking about pure greatness, this is one of the greatest players to ever play in the Premier League. And I think that he often, because of the generation, a lot of people didn't watch him. I didn't get to watch Eric Cantona. We kind of wash him away. He's kind of like not spoken about. It's kind of just like, oh, let's talk about everyone 2000s onwards, which is understandable. You don't want to talk too much about people you haven't seen. But I think his legend needs to be respected. And we need to remember what a great player that Eric Cantona was, man. Honestly. So if you just look at his YouTube, I can't pull up his YouTube clips, obviously, because of copyright purposes. But if you just look at the way he was, the guy had this kind of arrogance about him. He had this touch. He had class finishing, but also a very good playmaker. Not a traditional number 9, drops into that kind of 10 area and just gets the team playing. If you're talking about the word aura, Eric Cantona is the original aura man of the Premier League. I mean, collar up, the swagger, the French, you know what I mean? The French vibe that he gave. He just lit up the Premier League, man. He was probably the first real foreign superstar in the Premier League in terms of in this country anyway, like proper foreign superstar. Because before, you know, Ian Rush and Kenny Dalglish and Graham Souness and John Barnes and them type of players, they were mainly obviously English, Welsh, Scottish. They're all from like the British Islands. Whereas Eric Cantona come in, I think he was the first one to really, if there's any older heads in there, let me know. I think he was the first one to really, as a foreign player, kind of dominate English football, you know? So I think Eric Cantona is a good place to start. Let's look at some of the candidates, right? Cantona is one candidate. I'm so surprised they did not mention this man right here. Alan Shearer. I am so surprised they did not mention Alan Shearer. I feel like I'm just looking at stats-wise people, right? You look at Alan Shearer in the 90s alone, right here. 112 goals in 138 games for Blackburn. 112 goals in 138 games. And that's not where it ends. He still then went and scored 25 goals in 31 games. Then he went and scored, obviously he had a big injury here, a big knee injury in 97-98. But then he scored 14 in 30 in 98-99, which is basically 1 in 2. And then he scored 23 in 37 in 99-2000. So if you count up how many goals he scored right there, you're already looking at 25, 14, 2. You're looking at 50 goals right there. You're looking at 64 goals. So if you add 64 goals onto it, you're looking at 176 goals that he scored in the Premier League in the 90s. That is absolutely ridiculous. 176 goals. I mean, that deserves massive respect. And let's not forget, people, he also won a Premier League. I actually think, like, this is a tough one. And in that Premier League season, he scored 34 goals in 42 games. 32 goals in 42 games. I mean, 34 goals in 42 games. He is the original English, no, not even English. He is the original Premier League gunman. Premier League gunman. Alan Shearer. Man, he deserves massive respect. Everything that you think you guys think that you've seen in Harry Kane, you got to apply that to Alan Shearer. And for me, and more. The ball striking, the heading ability, the power, the duels that he could win with against centre halves. A big bully. He could score free kicks, rockets from free kicks. He could also whip them. Absolute monster Alan Shearer was, man. Honestly, another guy that kind of gets wiped away. And I always say it, right? If Alan Shearer made that move to Manchester United when he could have before Newcastle, Alan Shearer will be seen as the greatest player in the Premier League history, in my opinion. If he continues scoring these type of goals but was winning leagues and playing for Manchester United under Sir Alex Ferguson, I believe he will be seen as the greatest player in Premier League history. Because I can't imagine what numbers he did. He even missed half of 2 seasons. Look at that. 97-98, 17 appearances, 2 goals. 2000-2001, 19 appearances, 5 goals. He had a bad 2 knee injuries. Imagine if he played those full seasons and people still can't catch his record. Alan Shearer would have probably scored 300 potentially, 300 goals, let alone playing for Manchester United. Absolute madman. Now, let's move on. Alan Shearer. So that's Alan Shearer, Cantona. And then they said Dennis Bergkamp. And I actually think Dennis Bergkamp is a great shout. I think people seem to forget, right? when Bergkamp came in, he came, I think, just before Arsene Wenger came in. But when Arsene Wenger got a grips of Dennis Bergkamp, and because Dennis Bergkamp didn't actually, he came to the country, he had a mad spell at Ajax, of course, that's where he came through. You look at his record, people don't seem to see Dennis Bergkamp as a goal scorer, but you look at his record here, and you're just looking at mad numbers here, bro. Mad numbers. You're looking at 26 in 36, 30 and 44, 30 and 40. It's kind of hard to imagine Dennis Bergkamp putting up them numbers because he just wasn't that type of goal scorer. He just wasn't, with the positions that he plays, the position that he picks up. But then he went to Inter and was actually seen as a flop. He was actually not seen as a very successful signing. You look at the first season, 18 goals in 48 and then 4 in 26. He wasn't seen as a mad signing. So he came to Arsenal with actually trying to boost his reputation. And I actually think he finished high on the Ballon d'Or in one of these seasons, but I think that's because of the 94 World Cup, I believe it is. I think it was a 93, 94, and he had a really good 94 World Cup where he scored that legendary goal against Argentina. But he came to Arsenal with his reputation damaged. But then when Arsene Wenger got a grip of him, when he met Arsene Wenger and them two really got working, I always say, is the catalyst and the reason kind of Wenger ball became seamless. If you do your research on the Arsenal team, they were, but before that, George Graham's Arsenal, 1-0 to the Arsenal, Tony Adams, all of them kind of guys, Ian Wright, of course, but they were a very different type of team. But Dennis Bergkamp kind of brought this foreign flavor to them, this class, this Dutch excellence to the Arsenal team, and Arsene Wenger used that. And then from there, that's when you started getting Patrick Vieira's, you started getting Thierry Henry's, you started getting Robert Pires, you started getting all of these type of guys. But I think Bergkamp was a real catalyst from moving Arsenal from 1-0 to the Arsenal and this kind of robust, tough team into this kind of more classy, beautiful team that they still try and play till today. And I spoke to Ian Wright, and Ian Wright told me that he couldn't even get into Dennis Bergkamp's party. I asked him, why has Dennis Bergkamp got a statue and you haven't? He said, Dennis Bergkamp, let's have respect. I can't even get into his party. That's the exact words that he said. I can't even get into his party. It's just different level of quality. And I think, he was a big influence into Arsenal winning their first title under Arsene Wenger. Some of the goals, he was running his own goal of the competition, goal of the tournament competitions by himself. There's one month that he had 3 nominees for goal of the month. Go and search it up, guys. I think it was Newcastle goal and 2 versus Leicester. Or is it Everton? One of the two. Unbelievable player, man. The class. And I actually think if you're talking about the greatest technicians in Prem history, I'm trying to think. I actually think Dennis Bergkamp is probably the best technician in Premier League history. In terms of pure technical ability, I think Dennis Bergkamp might be number one. When you actually think about it, I think Dennis Bergkamp might be number one. So if you're talking about that pure ability, he might be the best player in this 90s list. So you got Alan Shearer, the best goal scorer. You got Cantona, the catalyst. And then you got Dennis Bergkamp. And I want to say one more man as well. And Jill Scott mentioned it. It's this man right here, man. Roy. I had no idea his middle name is Maurice. Why is Roy Keane's middle name Maurice? That's the time by name that I typed it. I want to hear from. Oh, his dad was called Maurice. Bruh, he shouldn't have been a footballer. He should have been an R&B singer. Maurice Keane. You trying to tell me you couldn't hear that on an R&B 90s R&B record? Maurice Keane coming at you live at 12 o'clock with his new hit single, Lovers and Friends. Let's just go and play this right now. You telling me you can't hear that? Oh my God. Maurice. I might start calling him Maurice. Imagine the time when I met him. I met him at the FA Cup. For anyone that don't know, I met him at FA Cup with Ian Wright, and I gave Ian Wright a hug, and I tried to give Roy Keane a hug, and he was like, I don't do hugs. You know what I'm trying to say? So imagine if I met him, I said, oh, Maurice, come. Yo, I think he would have actually banged me in my face, you know. I think he would have banged me in my face. But I want to talk about Roy Keane. Of course, stats don't matter about with Roy Keane because he's Roy Keane. You know what I mean? Box to box midfielder at the time. Unfortunately, actually looking at his stats, he actually didn't play. He didn't actually make as many appearances as I would have thought he would have. You know what I mean? 25 appearances there, but you got to remember Roy Keane gets a lot of reds. 25 appearance there, 29, 21, 9. He had a bad injury, 35, 29. But if you're thinking about the importance of a player, I think Eric Cantona was the original one. And when you drag it on to, it then becomes Roy Keane. Roy Keane was then the second kind of general for Manchester United. If you're looking at Fergie's reigns, looking at Eric Cantona, and I think you're looking at Roy Keane after that. And then, of course, Man United go and be the successful team that we are and carries on into the 2000s with him as captain. But Roy Keane, man, again, he's another one where he missed the season here, 97, 98. Arsenal won the league. You know, and even in 2001, 2002, he picked up an injury as well. Not to say that Arsenal wouldn't have won the league, but he did pick up an injury in that moment as well. Roy Keane, the ultimate captain, for me, the greatest captain in Premier League history. And just his impact in these moments for Manchester United. If you listen to the way the players speak about him, Gary Neville, Paul Scholes, David Beckham, how he was such a leader to that class of 92. It was originally Cantona, but then it became Roy Keane. And of course, he formed probably arguably for me the best duo partnership ever in Paul Scholes and him as a two-man midfield. And just his importance. I haven't seen a player that ran the league like Roy Keane. For me, he ran the league. He was Fergie on the pitch, the biggest figure I think one club has ever had. And I think maybe you could say John Terry's next in terms of like one man kind of running a football club as a player. But John Terry also had counsel, you know, he had Didier Drogba, he had Lampard, he had Cech, even Michael Ballack at some point, actually Cole. And we had big characters, but Roy Keane was really Fergie on the pitch. He was the sole leader of that football club, man. The most successful team in the 90s and the most successful team in the 2000s. So I think Roy Keane deserves an honourable mention. But I probably wouldn't go Roy Keane number one. I do have Roy Keane in terms of the most important players in Man United. I have him in the top 3, top 4. But this ain't about Man United. This is about the 90s era. So for me, in the 90s era, I'm going to go with Eric Cantona. I'm going to go with Eric Cantona as the best player of the 1990s decade. I think that's right. It's tough between Alan Shearer and Eric Cantona, but I'm gonna go with Eric Cantona. Okay, so I went with Eric Cantona for the 1990s. Now let's get into the 2000s. So let's go and check what Gary Neville and the boys said for the 2000s. All right, just adjusted the camera angle a little bit because I think it should be better if I'm up here. But anyway, let's get into it. Let's look at this one. Let's see who they put for the 2000s to the 2010s.
2000 to 2010.
I was going to say Rooney.
I was going to say Rooney.
Rooney.
I'd go Henry personally.
It's a good start again.
That was your honest answer. Your good feeling.
No, because
I wasn't even going to I just said it because he did.
I'm going to go Thierry Henry.
2000.
Okay. 2000s to 2010s. Ooh. Already, I'm thinking of so many names. Ooh. I'm thinking of so... I want to put some nominees in here. I'm going to go with the nominees. I'm going to go with Terry. So they're going to be John Terry, Thierry Henry, Rio, Scholes, Lampard, Gerrard, Rooney. Who else is there? Patrick Vieira. Wow. Who else is there? Patrick Vieira. I think that's about it. Sorry, guys. But yeah, I think that's about it. That's about 8, I say. That's about 8 names. I'm not going to go through all 8 names. I'll kind of maybe brief my way through it, narrow it down to, let's say, the 4. So I think the 4 for me would be Wayne Rooney, Thierry Henry, Cristiano Ronaldo. Wow, Cristiano. This is tough. This is tough. Wow, you know what? I'm going to go with Thierry Henry, Cristiano Ronaldo, and Rooney. Those are the 3 I'm going to go with. Sorry to Lampard, sorry to Gerrard, sorry to Paul Scholes. But I think these 3 are the ones that reached the highest level in the 2000s. Let's go with Wayne Rooney. Let's start with Wayne Rooney. I think with Wayne Rooney, I mean, you're just looking at what he offered. Came in as broke into the scene 2002. 16 years old, putting things into top bins against Arsenal. 2001, 2002. I think it was 2000. In that season, Arsenal went on, won the league. They actually did a double. And he was there, 16 years old. And remember the name, Wayne Rooney. Goes on to have an incredible Euros. Of course, that's not the Premier League. But joins Manchester United and is incredible for us. Absolutely incredible. First and foremost, he came in. He was playing alongside Ruud van Nistelrooy. And we didn't win the league for those 2-3 years because there was a great Chelsea team. Arsenal went invincible. Yeah, I mean, Arsenal were in their moment, but obviously Rooney didn't play for us during the invincible seasons. In fact, he was the one that actually broke the invincibles with his goals, but his goal with Van Nistelrooy. But you're looking at what he offered Man United, man. Obviously, he went on to be our all-time top goal scorer. But if you're just talking about pure quality, Rooney is right up there with anyone in Premier League history. I can't believe that I am seeing combined 11s of the all-time Premier League team, and I haven't been seeing Wayne Rooney in some of them. I just think that is absolutely crazy. Every single facet of football that you need in a player, Wayne Rooney had. I don't understand what people are seeing. I sometimes don't get it. You want goals, he can score you goals. You want assists, he will assist. He's got over 200 goals, got over 100 assists. You want general play, he can give you general play. You want X factor, he's got X factor. You want spectacular goals, he's got spectacular goals. You want versatility, he's got versatility. What is it that you want from Wayne Rooney that he does not make combined 11s? You want someone that burst onto, that was a young wonder kid to a legend, you've got it. You want longevity, you've got it. What is it that you want from Wayne Rooney? You want titles, he's got it. He's got every single thing that you need to tick a box in an all-time Premier League great. He should be in everybody's all-time 11. I'm sorry, I just had to say that. Everybody's. Anyway, that's Wayne Rooney for me. Absolute legend. 3-peat in the 2000s. Special, was on par with Cristiano Ronaldo in 06-07, which people seem to forget. Ronaldo, of course, 07-08 went on another level. But you look at Wayne Rooney, it doesn't happen without Wayne Rooney. It doesn't happen without him. Special player, man. And I think he deserves to be mentioned in this list 100%. If you're talking about Pete, he's better than Steven Gerrard. He's better than Frank Lampard. He's better than Paul Scholes. He's a better player than these guys. However, let's move on to the guy that, in my opinion, reached the highest peak level in the Premier League in the 2000s. That's, of course, Cristiano Ronaldo. Ballon d'Or winner. The best player, maybe not the GOAT of the league, but the best player to play in the Barclays Premier League is Cristiano Ronaldo. It's Cristiano Ronaldo. I mean, I think the 07-08 season from Cristiano Ronaldo is the best season in Premier League history. I think he reached the highest level, the entertainment factor, right foot, left foot, headers, free kicks, everything that you need. I mean, you knew that this guy's going to go on to be one of the greatest the game's ever seen. And he absolutely proved that. I think Cristiano Ronaldo, he has to be in this 3P. You know, a lot of people talk about other wingers in terms of putting him into the all-time 11, you know, and people be talking about, oh, he only did it for a short period. People forget that Ronaldo was still a fantastic player, even when he was young. Fantastic player. Maybe he wasn't as consistent because he came here at 17, people. He played from 17 to 18. He started. Of course, he wasn't going to be consistent. So when people say, oh, he only had 3, he didn't. He contributed to things for Man United. He contributed to our FA Cup win. He contributed to our Carabao win. He was still a fantastic player. If you go back and watch when Greece won the Euros, listen to how Terry Venables is speaking about Cristiano. He's calling him one of the best players in the world. And he was 18. People seem to think Ronaldo just popped out and was just randomly there in 07, 08. The guy was putting in work always. Yes, it wasn't to that level, but the guy was putting in work. And 06, 07, you knew he meant business. Even at the end of 05, 06, you could see him becoming a proper player. In the tournament, in the World Cup 2006, you could see he was a proper player. And then he just tops it all off with 06, 07, went crazy, 3P. A lot of guys that are trying to get above him, he did what they want to do in 3 seasons. In 3 seasons, 3P, Players of the Years, Young Player of the Year, Golden Boots. Bro, Cristiano Ronaldo is not to be played with, man. Cristiano Ronaldo is not to be played with. And if he wasn't injured a bit in 08, 09, he would have done more scary things. Highest peak in Premier League history for me. And that's why he's an honourable mention. But I think we can't beat around the bush. The Premier League GOAT for me is Thierry Henry. And he will be the 2000s best player, man. Because you look at what Henry was doing from when he came to the Premier League all the way until he left. He was the king of this league. He was the king of this league. He was the best player. He had the most quality. He was doing the most outstanding things. He was just that guy. You know, Arsenal only won 2 leagues. Credit to Manchester United. Credit to Jose Mourinho and Chelsea. However, Thierry Henry is that guy, man. Showtime. Showtime Henry. You turn on the TV for Thierry Henry. You want to see what free kick he scored. You want to see the back heel. You want to see him jogging past players. You want to see the arrogant celebrations. You want to see him running like a gazelle. You want to see him off the last man. You want to see a little slide finish, the trademark. You can't joke about with Henry, bro. If you lived in those periods, you would know what Thierry Henry was. You wouldn't even want to argue it. I actually always think to myself, what's my favorite Thierry Henry season? And of course, a lot of people are going to say the Invincibles, but there's something about that burgundy kit, Thierry Henry, 05, 06, yeah, where Arsenal got to the Champions League final. There's something about that Henry. Like, if you're talking about a full package of aura, I think he might have created the word. He might have been the originator. But of course, I said there's Eric Cantona in the Premier League, but Thierry Henry was sauce. Sauce. You know how expression says, oozing sauce. That's Thierry Henry, man. I don't think we need to even argue about this. You look at the numbers they put up. Is it 177? I see 2 of them came when he came back from MLS. Let's say 175 goals in his 8 years in the Premier League. You don't play with him, bro. You don't play with him. So, of course, I'm going to go Thierry Henry as number 1 for the best player of the 2000s. So, right now, we've got Eric Cantona and Thierry Henry, 2 Frenchmen, man. Mad thing. All right, so we've done our 2000s, 1990s. Let's get into who they said for the 2010s to 2020. Let's go.
10 to 2020. Kevin De Bruyne.
Yeah, same. De Bruyne.
De Bruyne.
No hesitation.
De Bruyne.
Saka. I'll go De Bruyne. I'll go De Bruyne.
De Bruyne. Interesting. KDB is an interesting one. I mean, they said no hesitation. I mean, listen, I won't argue with people that think KDB is the best of the 2010s. I mean, I will argue, but I won't be outraged. I won't say this is blasphemy. This is crazy. What the hell are you talking about? Because KDB, of course, is an absolute legend. And I think in terms of final passing, only him and Fabregas are on the same table when it comes to final pass, final pass, the fine detail pass, whether it's a cross, whether it's over the top, whether it's a slided through ball between the lines, whatever it is. I think Fabregas, if I had to put my money on someone to get me the ball to where I want it to go, it will be between Cesc Fabregas and Kevin De Bruyne. I think those two are the best final third passers in Premier League history. That's what I think. Best final third passes in Premier League history, man. So, let me think about it, right? I'm looking at it though, right? In the 5 years, he only played 5 years of the 2010s, right? It's 15, 16, 16, 17, 17, 18, 18, 19, to 19, 20. He won 2 titles. One of the titles, he was injured for half of it, right? Half of it. And they went on and won the league. Obviously, 15, 16 introduction year. I actually liked him that year, Pellegrini. Unbelievable in 2017, 18. Great in 2016, 17, of course, with Pep's first season. And in 2019, 20, you can actually argue that was his best individual season. You can see 20 assists, 13 goals. He was ridiculous. So if you're talking about KDB, you have to put respect on his name. Special player. But when they said no hesitation, I'm going to be honest, guys, I disagree. I do not think it's no hesitation. In fact, I don't actually have him as number 1. I don't have him as number 1 because I'm just looking at it here. You won a league. You weren't part of it. Of course, you're betting in season and you could go with Pep. It's unbelievable. And he would be in my top 3. However, if I'm talking about the 2010s, I got to talk about guys that not even that they played longer, but I just think some of their contributions were better. And I want to talk about David Silva in the 2010s. I think for some reason, he seems to just be wiped out. KDB is the ultimate assist man, the assist king, other than obviously Ryan Giggs at the moment, but he's the assist king. But you look at David Silva and you would think, look at that, 97 assists, which I think a bit boosted because he probably won some penalties. I think it's around 92. You would think that David Silva, the way people talk about him, didn't put down numbers. I mean, he's got 60 goals and almost 100 assists in the Premier League. And the thing about David Silva is that you didn't even watch him for goals and assists. You watched him because of how beautiful he was as a footballer. Beautiful, the class, the elegance, the dribbling ability, the IQ. You looked at him to control games, whether it was from the left, whether it was from the right, whether it was from centre mid, whether it was from 10. He just had that quality where he can run games no matter what. Absolutely special player. And you look at when he came in, like 10-11, he was a big impact into that Man City team. 11-12, I think he had about 15 assists in the league. That 6-1 demolition of Manchester United. He goes on, he's obviously won a league with Pep Guardiola and Pellegrini and Mancini. So he's one of the only players that won it with Pellegrini, Mancini and Pep Guardiola. You got Aguero that did the same. I don't think Yaya Toure did it. Company did as well. So a few of the real OGs of that squad. But I think he was just fantastic in most seasons, man. There was one season, I think it might have been 12-13, where I think he was slacked off a little bit. But when Pep Guardiola came through, everyone was thinking, okay, how is Pep Guardiola going to manage to find to find a way of Kevin De Bruyne and Silva playing in the same team consistently without putting Silva wide. And he found a role for David Silva in that centre midfield kind of controlling role in which he just went to the next level. In my opinion, Ball David Silva was special. So important. Go and look at some of Man City's best goals from the 17-18 season. You will see 2 men's fingerprints all over it. Kevin De Bruyne and David Silva. And I feel like a lot of people forget about that, David Silva. And I think if you're talking about 2010s, I think him, Aguero, are actually Manchester City's best players. And I think KDB, I kind of see KDB, because it was the latter years, I kind of push him more towards the 2020s. Like late 2020s. I know it sounds crazy, but he played more years in this period. But I look at David Silva, I look at what they did for Man City, David Silva and Kun Aguero, and I just think I've got to put them ahead. Kun Aguero, again, another one where I think last season I just started seeing him randomly get disrespected. Man. Like that Kun Aguero, look at that. Look at them type of numbers. And I've even gone to 11-12. I haven't gone to 13-14. Looking at that. 26 goals, 24, 20, 21, 21, 16. Constant constant 20 goal a season striker. Constant. And I think now, but I don't know why, maybe time has passed. He's another one that seems to be under a kind of threat of being erased and people kind of disrespecting his name. Look at these type of numbers, man. 24 goals in your debut season in the Premier League, 12 goals, 17, but he used to get injured quite a bit. But look at that ratio, 17 and 23 games, 26, 24, 20, 21, 21, 16. I mean, absolute gunman. Has the greatest moment in Premier League history, unfortunately to say, but he does with the Aguero. He has that. He has that consistent scorer. Yes, there was a lot of people that had maybe some higher peaks. Robin van Persie, Luis Suarez. Maybe you can even argue Harry Kane. But Aguero was the standard bearer. To be better than Aguero, you are levels. To be better than Aguero, you are levels. Some people just set a standard. They just set a standard, a very high standard, and you got to do above and beyond to get beyond that. What he did, it was just consistently like this. Just consistently. Some people come, flash, boom, gone, 2 seasons. Him consistently, 20 goals. Each season, 30, 33, 32, 29, 32, 31. Like, just there, man. I think Aguero deserves special man. I think the way they just said, KDB, no hesitation, is crazy to me. But for me, my winner is probably Eden Hazard. I think it's Eden Hazard. In terms of just what I like in the game, in terms of what I used to watch, in terms of box office, it was Eden Hazard. Eden Hazard was the show, people. He was the show in the Premier League. He was the show. And the way people talk like he has meaty numbers, 14 league goals, 16, 12, 16. That's good numbers for your wingers. That's good numbers. The dribbling ability, the entertainment, the X factor, the way he used to control, used to give Hazard the ball as a safety pass, the way Hazard things used to run from him on the wing. He won 2 Premier League titles, which people seem to not acknowledge. Young Player of the Year in his first season. I think he should have been a 2-time Player of the Year. I think he should have won the one in 16-17. They gave it to Kante, fair enough, but I think it should have been Eden Hazard. I think Kante won because he had contributed so much to Leicester the season before. Yes, he had a really poor season in 15-16. He did. It went all tits up with Jose Mourinho. So that is a slight knock on him. That is a knock on him. Same way KDB has an injury. That's a knock. However, I just think about what I was doing around these periods from 2012 to 2019. I just wanted to watch Eden Hazard, bro. He was so fearful as well. He would kill Manchester United. He killed big teams. Hazard's record in big games is impressive. It's special. The way he does it, the feeling that he gave you, arguably the best dribbler in Premier League history. For me, that's just the way I like to see the game. And I think he was so important to Chelsea. And I actually think it's funny, if you guys look into it, I actually think Chelsea built not the greatest squads for Eden Hazard to succeed in. I think he made a lot work. I think if you look at what Chelsea actually built around Hazard, I don't think it's as special as some of this, what, for example, Liverpool have built, what City have built, what Man United used to build. I think that Chelsea period was good, but I think they could have been better. I think their recruitment was even a bit booky, a bit higgy-hagger in this period. I think there was a time where they actually started letting Eden Hazard down, in my opinion. That's how I see it. Anyway, I don't want to drag this on too long. So Eden Hazard is my one. And let's go finally. So I've got Eric Cantona, Thierry Henry, Eden Hazard, and lastly the 20s. I think it's too early to do the 20s, but hey.
2020 season to 2024.
If I could change, I'd go De Bruyne this one and try and put something else in.
Yes.
I got Rodri.
I'd probably go Rodri's.
Who is the best?
So there was no mention of Salah and Van Dijk. And I know Van Dijk and Salah, but it's kind of like if you're born in 1998, are you a 90s baby or are you a 2000s baby? What are you? 90s or 2000? Like, what really are you? And I think that's the case with Mo Salah here. He came in at 17-18 season. Basically the back end, you know what I mean? The back end. You're looking at the numbers that he's done. Let's say even the numbers that he's done in the 20s. 22 league goals, 23, 19. 18. Basically 20 a season in the league every year in the 2020s. No league titles. 31 goals, 31, 30, 25, 10 right now. No league titles. FA Cup, English Cup, AFL Cup, sorry. Champions League runners-up. So from a success standpoint, it hasn't been the greatest decade yet for Mo Salah. I think there has been seasons where I've looked at it and I thought in this 20s, like, he's not playing as great as he can, but he's still getting numbers. But I think 21, 22, you're thinking about somebody that reached a level where you're thinking, hard to reach, very, very hard to reach. Salah is definitely one of them in 21, 22. I think 21, 22, in the beginning, it fell off a little bit, but in the beginning, when he scored that goal against City, when he scored that goal against Watford, when he scored the goal, bro, he scored many, many beautiful goals. He was playing at a top level. You look at him now, playing at a very high level. Regardless of what Mo Salah's going through, whether you think somebody's having a better season or not, in the end, when it comes to just goals and assists, put your goals and assists on the table, please. Because Salah's going to be above it. Anyone in the Premier League, most people, definitely, in his position. When it comes to it, put your goals and assists on the table. Mo Salah is probably going to clear you. Whether he's having a good or bad. If he's having a good season, you're not getting anywhere close. If he's having a meaty season, he's still going to be above you. He's a guarantee now. Salah is a guarantee. He will be there. He will be there. So Salah, I think, was harshly just ignored by these guys. Honestly, I really do. The way Rodri, Haaland, and KDB. Now, I know I just looked at KDB's stuff and he's had some big moments as well, man, KDB. But I think also in the Champions League as well, 21, 22, 15 goals, 16 assists in 22, 23, 20. This one's tough. Does KDB fall into 2020s? They've won so many titles now in a row, man. And he's obviously been a pivotal part of that. Wow. That's a tough one. Rodri, Ballon d'Or winner. Whether you think it's controversial or not, he is the Ballon d'Or winner. You've got to be paying him his respect. In terms of consistency, I think he's probably number one on this list. In terms of pure consistency since he's been in the Premier League, he's been very, very consistent. Very consistent and nearly an ever-present for Man City. Look at his fixtures. Nearly an ever-present for Man City. The heartbeat of the club. The metronome of the club. Runs the team. You know what I mean? Everything goes through him. Good. When he's not there, it's bad. It's as simple as that. Controls. If it was just for a pure midfielder, then he'll be number one easily. But you know me, guys. You know me. I like a bit of flash. I like a little bit of excitement. So he's not going to win this one on my one. I'm still going to have Mo Salah and Kevin De Bruyne above. And they mentioned Erling Haaland. Now, this is an interesting one, people, because he's only played 2 seasons. That's why at Carragher was like, Haaland. But goodness me, people. Those 2 seasons. Love and guidance, bro. 36 goals in 35 games in the league. Broke the record in his first season. Second season, he scored 27 goals in 31 games and he was injured. But guys, he was injured. That 31 is not a real reflection of how many get of it. Honestly, because he'll get injured, come back, play, wouldn't even be fit enough, looks a bit terrible. So it wasn't even really the full rhythm Haaland, and he still scored 27 league goals and won the Golden Boot. Still scored 27 league goals and won the Golden Boot. And then look at it now, 12 goals in 11 games, and we're actually saying, what's going on with Erling Haaland? What's going on? The best goal scorer, he will be the best goal scorer in Premier League history. If he stayed the whole time, he'll be the greatest goal scorer in Premier League history. For me, I mean, he's just a guaranteed goal. Like 12 goals in 11 games, and we're looking at him thinking he's having a bad season. This is the standard he's set. 15 goals in 16 games, 27 goals in 31, 36 in 35. He has 75 goals in 77 games in the league. 75 in 2.5 seasons. I can fully understand Gary Neville's shout. This is actually a tough one. This is actually a tough one. This is actually a tough one. I just think the 2020s ain't over yet, man. Can you really say somebody's been the best player? It's not over yet.
Best player.
I'll go De Bruyne. I'll go De Bruyne.
20 season to 2024.
If I could change, I'd go De Bruyne this one and try and put something else in.
I go Haaland.
Haaland.
I go Rodri.
I'd probably go Rodri's.
Can't lie, yeah. A Man City player has to win this one. A Man City player has to win this one. Like, I know it's individuals. I can't forget Van Dijk too. I know it's individuals, but Man City have defined eras. Have defined this era. They've won it all. So I'm gonna have to go Kevin De Bruyne for this one, you know, people. I'm gonna go Kevin De Bruyne. And the reason why I'm nicking Kevin De Bruyne, one, because of the success. Two, because of pure quality. I think he's the most quality of the guys that I've mentioned. Salah is very unlucky to miss out. He was very close. Very close, because they have been 1 and 2. Let's have it right. 1 and 2 in terms of, since they've been in the Premier League, it's Salah or KDB. They've been the two most outstanding performers in the Premier League since they've both been in the league together. Yeah, I mean, Hazard had his 18-19 season, but he left. You know what I mean? So in terms of 17-18, when Salah came and Kevin De Bruyne, to now, they've been 1 and 2. So it's very, very close. Very close. Haaland, I would probably have put third, and then probably Rodri fourth. But maybe I'm biased. Maybe I'm biased to attackers. But yeah, I would have gone KDB, then Salah. So yeah, KDB and Salah. Who did these guys go again? Oh, they put one of these three. Yeah, I'm going to go KDB. So that's my list, people. That's my list. Let me know what you guys think about that list, man. Let me know what you lot think about that list, man. Let me know what you lot think. You know, again, apologies if there's any like delay to my voice and the camera. There's so much going on. I can see that it might be happening, but guys, apologies about that. However, let me know what you guys think. I think Thierry Henry for the 2000s, Eric Cantona, Eden Hazard, and Kevin De Bruyne. And let me know if you have any arguments with my reasonings as well, or if you understand some of my point of view. If you don't, I know this is the longest video I've done on this channel. So if you guys stuck all the way to the end, big shout out to you guys, man. I really appreciate it. I'll put some timestamps in there so it's much easier for you guys. Listen, it's your boy CultureCams. Please like, share, subscribe, turn your notifications on. I'm out. Peace.